Hey YouTube, this is Eddie. This is Edgar Brown back with another video, and I would like to give my take on the new Resident Evil 8 game that's coming out for PlayStation 5. I would like to give my opinion on it. Now, here's the thing: I didn't care for Resident Evil 7 because Resident Evil 7 to me, I never played it, but to me it's trash. I never cared for the first person perspective or whatever, because I never cared for first person games to begin with, really. But the thing is, Resident Evil 7 was a first person survival horror game, and I heard that some people liked it and some people didn't like it. I'm one of those people that did not like it. I never played it, but I don't care for first-person shooters. The problem with Resident Evil 7 at the time, it was like a rehash of all the other games and horror movies, like PT and Silent Hill, and the movies like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Hills That Have Eyes, and stuff like that. I did not care for a game rehashing other stuff. Now, here's the thing. With Resident Evil 8, this is supposed to be a game based on Chris Redfield being, this time he's a villain. He's supposedly a villain in this game. Now, here's the thing. Resident Evil 8 is going to be first person. There's no doubt about it. They showed a little bit of gameplay and everything. And my take on it is that I still don't like it. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's intriguing because I'm a big time gamer. I've been a gamer virtually all my life, and I love scary games. And the Resident Evil genre is pretty much my favorite scary game franchise. But this whole first person perspective, I'm not digging it. I never liked first person shooters to begin with. To be honest, maybe when I was younger, when I was a kid, maybe it might be fun, but as I start growing, I don't really care for first-person shooters. And this game is going to be a first-person shooter. Resident Evil 8 is going to be first-person. And like I said, don't get me wrong, the trailer looked intriguing, that they're they're doing something new, something different with Chris Redfield and everything like that. That's the only reason any hardcore old school Resident Evil fan would even pick up the game, because of the fact that Chris Redfield's in it. But honestly, hardcore Resident Evil fans like myself, we don't give two shits about the new protagonist named Ethan that was in Resident Evil 7. We care about the protagonist back in the day, like the Jill Valentine, Claire Redfield, Chris Redfield, Leon, Ada, Wesker, you know what I'm saying, and so forth. We don't give, a lot of us hardcore Resident Evil fans, we don't give two shits about the new Resident Evil characters, and that happens to particularly be Ethan. But as far as Resident Evil 8 is concerned, I'm not gonna lie, it did intrigue me a little bit, but I'm not a fan of first person shooter perspectives. And like I said, I am a hardcore Resident Evil fan. I'm a fan of the old school, because I played the first one. I didn't beat it, but I did play the first one. Beat the second one. I didn't play the third one until I played the remake. Played and beat the Resident Evil 4. I played Resident Evil 5, beat Resident Evil 5, played Resident Evil 6, beat Resident Evil 6. I played Resident Evil 0. You know what I'm saying? I played a bunch of Resident Evil games, and I loved every last one of them because they were fucking Resident Evil. These new Resident Evil games, like 7, well, 7 is old, but the new one that's coming out, and the predecessor, that is not Resident Evil at all. You know what I'm saying? It's something else. It's like a rehash of all the other stuff. But my takes on this, my take on it is the fact that I don't know, I just don't like it. I don't like this whole first person shit. I like third person. I want to be able to see my character. But unfortunately, Capcom is trying to appeal to the masses I don't think they give two shits about the hardcore fans like myself, but I think they're trying to appeal to the masses. You know, the millennials out here who think that the new shit is the best shit, and it's not. To me, it's not, because like I said, if a Resident Evil game does not have that doesn't have zombies, doesn't have lickers, hunters, gigantic ass spiders, infected dogs, stuff like that. If it doesn't have those elements, then it's not Resident Evil to me. Because that's what made Resident Evil good, was the fact that you had those elements. You had the zombies. Hell, even the super zombies, they call them, what is it, Crimson Heads? When you played in the first game, that shit terrified me, because it was a clear reminder, if you did not set the zombie on fire that you put down, they come back faster and stronger, and they become more of a nuisance, and their attacks deal a lot of damage. And that was in the very first Resident Evil game. So if they don't have those elements, even so much to even have so much of a super zombie, then it's not Resident Evil. Okay, Resident Evil, that's what made Resident Evil, is the elements I just discussed. As far as the zombies, the gigantic spiders, infected dogs. Hell, they even had gigantic frogs and shit when they had it Resident Evil 0, and I ain't gonna lie, that kind of terrified me, because I be the one over there by the forklift with Billy Cohen and Rebecca Chambers, and the most terrifying thing was when I tried to go by that forklift, is one of those frogs jumping out of the water, and it's like, if you don't deal with them, they will swallow you whole. That shit was scary as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Resident Evil 0 was really good. Okay, and what made that game good was the fact that they had those elements that I just talked about. But these new Resident Evil games, they're for the birds. I'm sorry. I get it. Some people say, well, it's good to try new things. I may try it, I may not, but I'm just not a fan of the new Resident Evil games. I am a hardcore fan of the old. In fact, I just played the first two remakes. I played Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 remakes, and I gotta say, those games were good. Okay, I just wish there were more to do in Resident Evil 3, but Resident Evil 2 was the bomb. I'm not gonna lie. The Resident Evil 2 remake, because it just reminds me of the past. You know what I mean? Now, just because they don't have the fixed camera angles, the tank controls, does not make it any more or less Resident Evil. But if they didn't have this stuff that I just mentioned, the elements that made the game terrifying, then it's not Resident Evil. But like I said, I'm just giving my opinion on the new Resident Evil 8. I mean, I may try it out and I may not. I just don't like where it's going. I don't like the direction they're going as far as first person, because that seems like that's what it's gonna look like. That if they was to make a Resident Evil 9, 10, and beyond, it's gonna be first person, and I, for one, just gonna have to bow out and enjoy the old school Resident Evil games. But anyway, this is just my take on the new Resident Evil 8 game. I don't think it's gonna be a good game, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. If you have anything, if you like this video, subscribe. If you don't, that's on you. I'm just giving my opinion. I am Edgar Brown, and stay safe, and please practice social distancing. Sanitize your hands, wash your hands, and keep 6 feet apart away from people. Have a blessed day. I am out.